And done it!
Thank you very much. Now, I think this is the first on my channel. For my pickups, I have all handheld games and whatnot. So we're going to start off with a few different Game Boy. 2 regular, or old school, whatever. 1 color and 1 advance. So first we have Quarth. Like the dog from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Oh, wait, that was Quark. Anyway, this is a very interesting little puzzle game. It's almost like a cross between Tetris and Galaga, which is interesting, but yeah, it's not bad actually. And then we have Battle Unit Zeoth, which is it's a side-scrolling shooter, which I love those types of games, especially the classic ones. Like this, plays this little robot guy that was made by Jolly Go. They made a lot of great games back in the early 90s and stuff. NES, I think they did a lot of sports games, which I'm not a big sports games fan, but, you know, during like the, you know, Game Boy and SNES and stuff, they did a lot of good games. This one's not bad. It's just, it's a good game. It's just really hard, and there's still a damn sticker on there. Need to try and peel that off. Now the Game Boy Color game is Kirby Tilt and Tumble. I remember when this first came out, and I didn't really have much interest in it, but I recently watched Tamashi Hiroka, I think that's how you say her name. I watched her review on it, and I was like, I'll have to try it out. Really not a fan of motion controls, but Kirby's my favorite Nintendo IP, and the way this game works is, you gotta have a Game Boy Color to play it, which fortunately I do still have mine, because I was playing this the other day, but basically it's like you tilt the Game Boy up and down, bounce it around and stuff, in order to navigate Kirby through different levels, solve puzzles and things like that. And I remember the commercial for this game, because it was, they showed Kirby on a Game Boy Color, and he was bouncing up and down and rolling around on it and everything, because in the early 2000s, which I think this game came out back when they were translucent, they put the date on them. Yeah, 2001. Well, anyway, in the early 2000s, Game Boy Color games, that's what they did with the commercials. Like, I remember, 2 of the other ones I happen to remember were, what the hell was it called? Mario Tennis. You know, it showed Mario and Donkey Kong on the Game Boy Color playing tennis. Donkey Kong loses, gets pissed, and snaps the racket in half. And one of the other ones was Perfect Dark, which was not as great as the N64 one, of course, but so there was a commercial for that. Joanna was running across the Game Boy Color being pursued by helicopters and stuff. So yeah, it's not a bad game, it's alright. Then the Game Boy Advance title is Mario Pinball Land. Camera focus. I bought this more on like a whim, because it was cheap, so I figured, what not? Why not? I'll give it a shot. It's okay. It's not a bad pinball game. It's just it's the kind of game you have to have a lot of patience with. But it's so-so, I guess. Now, if you want to collect Game Boy games, one common way of storing them, you get a binder and some card sheets, which both of those you can pick up really cheap. And you do this. You can see. Yeah, that's one common way of storing them. The reason there's some gaps in there is because these Game Boy games I was just talking about will go in there. Now, I actually got a new handheld system that I've been wanting to get for a while. It's a PSP. A little dusty. I've been playing the shit out of this thing, because I don't know why I never got one back in the day. I think it was, well, to be honest, when this came out, I was in high school at the time, and I had this, like, kind of biased attitude where I just didn't really like all-in-one type of stuff. But over the years, I kind of outgrew it, and then it was like, because of, like, getting into retro gaming and everything, and I was like, wow, the PSP had a great game library, so I was like, alright, I'm gonna have to pick one up. So, finally did, and like I said, I've been really enjoying it. I kind of wish I got one years ago, but what are you gonna do? I actually really like the disc system on this, because I feel like it's very unique. And yeah, that's about it. But so naturally, I got a few. Only got 4 games for it so far, and most of them are ports, pretty much, so I will get more exclusive games in the future. I know it has a lot of side-scrolling shooters, which, like I said, I love those types of games, and RPGs and stuff. But anyways, so for now I got Parappa the Rapper, which is a classic. Happy 20th anniversary. And this game, my brother and I used to play this all the time back in the day, back in like the late 90s, and we used to play it just to kind of fool around with, like, you know, it'd be like, pop, punch, or something like that. And of course, the PS1 version is kind of pricey for my taste, so I was like, might as well get the PSP version. And I also got Final Fantasy Tactics, or The War of the Lions, which, gonna be honest, I haven't gotten around to playing this just yet, but probably because I've been preoccupied with another game, which I'll get to towards the end. Then I got Twisted Metal Head-On, which was a port of the PS2 game. That's a great, you know, the PSP is like a portable PS2. I like the screen on it. It's really nice, the way the game's displaying and everything. But this game is, I love the Twisted Metal games. You know, having it on especially the second one, that's definitely my favorite. You know, Black was really good. 3 and 4, the first one really good, and so on. But yeah, it's awesome to have Twisted Metal on the go. So happy to have that. This is one of the games that really kind of caught my attention with the system, was Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. Mega Man X, the first one in particular, is one of my favorite games of all time. So, like, it's like, you know, updated graphics, I have it on the go. Yeah, I definitely gotta get that. And it's the PSP Essential version, so it has like that little design on there. This is a really good port. My only real complaints was because I've beaten the game so many times on different platforms and everything. For one thing, they swapped the capsules around, so that kind of threw me off a little, but whatever, it's not a big deal. And the other thing was that some of X can get a little annoying at times. Like, for example, I think that's why Mega Man games really shouldn't have voice dialogue. You know, stick with the text, the voices, it's kind of hit or miss, but the thing is, with X, it's like sometimes if you use his, the weapons you get from the bosses, like every time he uses it, he has to say it, so it's like, Chameleon Sting, Chameleon Sting, Chameleon Sting. It's like, that doesn't get old or anything. And the other thing is, every time you confront one of the bosses, every single time, you've got Maverick. Alright, we get it, they've all got Maverick, stop saying it. Other than that, the game is awesome. Yeah. And once you beat the main story, you can play as Vile, which is awesome. You know, it's kind of a little tricky, but it is awesome playing as him. Now the last game, and like I said, this is the one I've been really preoccupied with, which is why I haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics yet. It's Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia, and this is a port of one of the much earlier Fire Emblem titles, like that was from the early 90s, that was exclusive in Japan. But it's so good. Like, it's so hard to put it down whenever I play it. The thing is, just lost my train of thought. Sorry. Where was I? Oh yeah, Fire Emblem. They were first released internationally in 2003. So I played every one of them released internationally, except for Sacred Stones and two of the Fates games. But so this one, it might be a little tricky at first, because I think it's like a port of an older game. They kept a lot of the stuff in, like, so any other Fire Emblem game, let's say you have like Maiden, I think is how you pronounce it, which is like one of the swordsman type characters. One of those characters they can equip to up to like 4. They can have up to 5 items, so it could have, you know, 2 or 3 different swords and then like a healing item or something. Well, in this game, this Fire Emblem game, you can only have up to 1 item, so that is a little confusing at first. So basically, you can, each character, let's say you have an archer, you can give them a bow, like a bow and a bow and arrow to increase their attack power, or you can give them a shield to increase their defense, or you can give them a healing item or something. So, like I said, that takes a little getting used to. And the game is takes place about these two characters, Alm and Celica, who are, well, I actually have the amiibo figures of. I actually did an unboxing video of these two. But they're childhood friends, and they kind of go their separate paths because they have they each have their own quest or something like. But that's what I really like about the game is that there's two, you control the map yourself, kind of like the more previous 3DS titles, and it's two different armies, so it's Alm has his own unit, if you will, and the same with Celica. As Alm is on the let me think for a minute, the western side of the map, while Celica's on the eastern side, and in fact, so it's really cool how they, you can go back and forth, okay, I'm going to do a couple levels with Celica, now I'm going to go do one of Alm's, and whatever. One of the characters, he's actually one of the first people that Celica recruits, is this guy named Saber. He's awesome, definitely one of my favorite characters out of, this game. And his voice, I swear I've heard it somewhere before, but I can't put my finger on who the voice actor is. But I swear I've heard his voice somewhere before. And then, of course, one of the things that really grabbed a lot of people's attention is the dungeon mode, which is so awesome. There's tons of different dungeons on each side of the map for each character. The dungeons are awesome because you control the character freely, and you'll come across an enemy down there, and there's 3 different ways you can confront an enemy. See, if you just run into them, it'll go. Anytime you confront an enemy in the dungeon, it'll go to a battle mode like any other Fire Emblem game. So if you just walk into them, it'll just go to a average battle. But because you can attack in the dungeons, because you can break open barrels, open different pathways, cut grass to collect money and things like that. So if you attack an enemy, basically it's almost like you surprise them or something. So you go into the battle, they'll have maybe a little bit of HP missing from the enemies. But if they confront you first or attack you, it'll cut you off guard, and they'll attack first, and they'll have twice as many units or enemies or whatever. So that's about it. The awesome game. And that's all my pickups for this week. So I got a new Memories video coming out next week, everybody. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And have a very nice day.